The saddest story humans ever told about dogs started with one look.
Look at a broad head, a scarred face, cropped ears, or a powerful body. Our minds immediately begin writing a story about who that dog is. That physical appearance almost instantly hardens into a rigid expectation. We decide the animal's nature before they have taken a single step. When their behavior surprises or frustrates us, those expectations turn into permanent labels. We call the dog stubborn, dominant, aggressive, difficult. Perhaps the saddest story we tell about our dogs begins with what we call the guilty look. We see them cower, and we assume they know they did something wrong. But there is a difference between what a dog is and what a dog is answering. This conceptual model illustrates that exact difference. On the outside, our human labels bounce off the surface as assumptions, but on the inside, a biological reality is actively radiating outward, responding to the immediate environment. A dog who freezes might simply be answering uncertainty. A dog who pulls away could be answering physical or spatial pressure, and a dog whose body suddenly becomes hard is likely answering a stimulus in the environment that we haven't even noticed yet. When we mistake a temporary physical response to stress for a permanent character flaw, we stop asking what the body is telling us right now. We lose our ability to truly see the animal in front of us. To get that vision back, we have to stop trying to read character from behavior. Instead, we need to read raw physiological data directly from the body. This framework breaks a dog's physical state down into 5 metrics. First, breathing. Watch for rhythm shifts. Next, weight. Notice if their center of gravity pulls backward. Then, eyes. Is their gaze searching or fixed? Fourth, softness. Look for rigid stillness. Finally, recovery. Together, these 4 real-time data points give us an objective read on how a dog is processing their surroundings. They allow us to bypass our own subjective narratives and rely entirely on biology. But there is a 5th piece to this matrix, and it often reveals more than the other 4 combined. This timeline graph visualizes that final metric, recovery. It charts the exact amount of time it takes for a dog's physiological baseline to return to normal after a difficult stimulus has passed. The size or intensity of the initial reaction only tells us that a dog was startled. The duration of their return to ordinary tells us how their nervous system actually manages stress. Accurately measuring this requires us to wait. We have to exercise patience and actively resist our deep-seated urge to immediately comfort, correct, or intervene. By learning to step back and observe the full length of that recovery, we build the foundational skill necessary to truly see the dog we are living with. You can try this today. Pick one entirely ordinary interaction with your dog to practice a different way of looking. When you look at them, notice the story that immediately appears in your mind. She's nervous. He's being stubborn. Don't argue with the thought. Just acknowledge it and set it completely aside. Instead, apply the 5 metrics. Check their breathing. Note where their weight rests. Look at the softness of their eyes and their body, and wait to see how they recover. Replacing an assumption with a physical fact changes how you respond. When you stop reacting to what you think the dog is doing and start listening to what their body is actually saying, you stop the cycle of correction and confusion. For the dog, a person who truly sees them becomes a refuge. As you watch them, ask yourself, if my dog's body could speak more clearly than my assumptions, what would it be telling me right now? This level of listening is the core of the Canine Sensory Connection methodology. It is a formal system designed to use scent, curiosity, and agency to discover what happens when we let the body do the talking. You may discover that the dog you thought you knew has been trying to introduce themselves all along. True connection and true training only begins after we learn to see before we decide.